Larry tried to kill me.
Yeah. I was so thoroughly disgusted. I mean, think about it. Why does it make you special to do what you do?
Packers jumping around. They rush four. Plenty of time for John. Now squeezes, steps up in the pocket. Elliott can run inside the 10. Head first. 5-yard line. My goodness.
Rushing forward, ball comes out of the hands of Newton. It's on the ground, and it's still on the ground. Picked up by T.J. Ward at the 4-yard line.
There's also Brian Clady and Bob Miller. Third and long 3. Going deep. Oh, and he's got Thomas. Goodbye. Touchdown. Here we go. First snap of the overtime. The Broncos have been in 3 overtime games this year. They won them all. Got him at the 40. It's Thomas at the 50. Stiff arm got him free to the 30. To the 20. Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime.
Hello, Bronco fans and football fans everywhere. Welcome to Broncos Breakdown on the MHRT Network. This is a show that is everything Broncos and brought to you with emotion, passion, honesty, and of course, my comments. I am your host, Bronco Bill. All right, guys, I have another background setting. I'm in a different area. I'm back at my house, but for those of you who did not see the show last night, The Neighborhood, my wife is out of town on a family medical issue, and I'm here by myself with my blind dog. We've had her for 12 years. Cannot leave her away from me if nobody else is here. She's like magnet and steel to me. So right now she's between my legs, sound asleep. And that's why I'm in this setting. So just wanted to give you a background as to why I'm here and not in my normal background. All right, guys. Want to give a shout out to Bubba Gonzalez. Hey, Bubba, what's happening, man? You say hi. Nice to see you as always. Ty Walden. What's up, Bill? Hey, what's up, Ty? Hey, nice to have you guys in the house. Absolutely glad to have you. All right, let's start out. Got a lot of Bronco news, a lot of shifting throughout the NFL. But here we go. Dan Quinn, considered one of the Broncos' top possible head coaches for the upcoming season and hopefully beyond, had decided he's not going to leave Dallas. Now, why? I mean, if he was a final 2 of last year when Nathaniel Hackett got hired, why would he not be considered? Well, one possibility is because it's not just George Payton calling the shots. It's now Greg Penner, the CEO of the Denver Broncos, as well as, part owner of the Walton Penner Group. So there's a different perspective in all of this. Greg Penner oversees, obviously, George Payton. So there's got to be a difference there. Anyways, let me get into it. Dan Quinn, once thought to be the Broncos' first choice as new head coach, has informed the Cowboys that he is returning as their defensive coordinator. There you go. Was the reason because of the Broncos' new ownership? Was it because of Greg Penner? Was it George Payton? Was it both of them? Or was it Dan Quinn going, you know what? I don't think this is a good fit at this point in time. It was a great fit last year when Joe Ellis was the CEO or whatever his title was. But it's different now, guys. It's different now when you have an ownership group or a new owner. It's different. Joe Ellis was just the CEO of the trust. He basically kind of overseed the happenings and whatnot for the Denver Broncos, but he couldn't really pull any strings majorly. Well, now you're bringing a Rob Walton Penner ownership group. Things are drastically different. And, and that's one of the reasons. I continue. Quinn, this is interesting. Quinn was never offered a second interview by the Broncos. After all, wow. Never scheduled an interview, a second interview. Wow. When Dan Quinn was the front runner last year, well, they hired Hackett. So you would think that they would right a wrong. Well, not when you have new ownership group, guys. Not when you have new ownership. You have new ownership, they want their own agenda. They do things differently. I mean, Rob Walton didn't just, fall into $70 billion worth of money by doing something stupid with Walmart. No, you're not going to do that. You're going to do what it takes to get you to that level. Well, that's why they're doing their due diligence on hiring a head coach. Well, speaking of hiring head coaches, most likely the Broncos have narrowed their search for the next head coach to Sean Payton and DeMeco Ryans. Payton, however, and this is interesting, guys, pay attention. Payton, however, fears a power struggle with Broncos ownership group. What power struggle? Oh, that Sean Payton wants the same type of control in Denver that he had in New Orleans? You mean to tell me that Sean Payton wants full control? You think the Walton Penner group is going to allow that? Come on, man. Really? Come on, Sean Payton. You're much smarter. Well, maybe you're a little delirious, but let me continue. According to Washington Post, Mark Maskey, Payton likes the idea of coaching Russell Wilson. That said, Payton wants full. There it is. Payton wants full control and doesn't want to report directly to the CEO, Greg Penner. Well, if you remember, guys, in the past, I mentioned in an article that Greg Penner has taken over the reins from George Payton in regards to who the quarterback refers to or who he reports to. Now, Hackett reported directly to George Payton. And the reason for that is because Joe Ellis was the overseer. Well, Joe Ellis is not an owner. He's not. I mean, he was a CEO in title and whatnot, but no, he's not in the same category as a Greg Penner. So Greg Penner says, you know what, George Payton, quarterback. I'm not. Excuse me, not quarterback. The head coach is going to report directly to me, not to you, but to me. Well, Sean Payton doesn't want that. He doesn't want to have to report to Greg Penner, the person who can fire him on the spot. Why wouldn't he want, if he's not doing anything wrong and he feels he's the best coach and doing what needs to get done for the betterment of the team, why would he fear? Is Sean Payton trying to take full control and reins of the Denver Broncos? Absolutely, that's what he wants. Absolutely, that's what he wants. And I know Mike Shanahan had that same type of control, but it was different. In my opinion, it was different. Mike Shanahan was a Denver Bronco deep, deep inside his gut, inside his heart, inside his soul. He loved Pat Bowlen. He would do anything and everything for Pat Bowlen. I don't see this situation with a Sean Payton being that same type of connection. I really don't. There is no connection. I mean, what connection do they have? One interview? So far. That's it. Okay, I move on. Maskey later tweeted, and this is important. Maskey later tweeted that Peyton loved his interactions with Condoleezza Rice, but left out naming Penner, who was the only other owner Peyton met that meeting. Wow. So there it is, guys. He does not want to have to report to Greg Penner. He said he absolutely loved his interactions with Condoleezza Rice. Well, of course. Condoleezza Rice isn't the CEO. Greg Penner is. And the issue with that is Sean Payton wants total control. So if there's a mutual separation of sorts from Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos ownership of who they're going to have as their next head coach, where does that leave the Denver Broncos for their next head coach that they're looking for? Well, there's a couple of possibilities. Obviously, there's Shaw's still out there. Jim Caldwell's still out there. Evero's still out there. And so is DeMeco Ryans. I'll get in that in just a moment. Bidding war looms. But before I get to that, let me get some shout outs to the guys in the chat. I'm sorry, guys. I started rolling and I'm in a totally unfamiliar background and unfamiliar setting and stuff. And I'm just sorry I passed you guys over. Avatar, always a pleasure having you at the house. What's up, Broncos country? Well, let's hope we get a good quality head coach. That's what I'm hoping. D-Rock says, Bill, hey, I say, what's up, D-Rock? Nice to have you, man. Nice to have you always. Ray, glad to have you in the house again, man. Hey, Bill, Broncos country. Absolutely. Love it. Pablo, hey, nice to see you again too, man. Hello, Bill. How are you, bro? I'm good, man. I'm good. Just a different location. I mean, it's in my house. It's in the family room, but different setup. I've had to make this makeshift setup, and I'm just glad you guys are bearing with me, man. Just glad you're bearing with me. I feel kind of out of sorts because I'm not in my norm, but if you don't know why I'm in this particular situation and you weren't here last night, I know you were, Pablo, and so you understand why I'm in the family room. But I got a little bit better setup this time around. So thanks for bearing with me. Always appreciate it. All right, D-Rock says, I have a strange inclination that Shaw will be the head coach. And I'm curious on how the organization will try to dupe us into believing he's the right suitor. Wow. You're leaning towards Shaw from Stanford? So let me ask you, D-Rock, why would you say Shaw? I mean, I understand that, Evero would be a first-time head coach. DeMeco Ryans would be a first-time head coach, but Jim Caldwell wouldn't be. But although you mentioned Shaw, I haven't heard his name mentioned all that frequently. And I sure haven't mentioned Jim Caldwell's name all that frequently. Not to mention, Evero as well. I don't know. I really think they're going after DeMeco Ryans. The only problem with that is, and I'll get into, like I've mentioned, I started with the bidding war, and I'll get into that in a minute. But I don't know. I don't know at this point. I mean, we've had who just got hired? Frank Reich just got hired by the Carolina Panthers. That takes him off the board. So dominoes are starting to fall. And Dan Quinn said he's not in the running for any head coach. He went back to Dallas as our offensive or defensive coordinator. So there's names falling off the board that Denver was targeting. So I'm hoping it doesn't leave the best of, of the bottom, the bottom of the barrel. Not the best of, but the best of was already out there. Bottom of the barrel, so to speak. I'm hoping that doesn't happen because we did that last year. We did that with Vic Fangio, and we did that with Vance Joseph. And I'll get into some of my reasons down the road why I'm not in favor of certain head coaches. All right. Hey, Rudy Torres. Hey, my brother-in-law. What's up, bro? Nice to have you in the house, man. Nice to see you. Glad for chiming in. Thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. And thanks for your support. Always appreciate it. All right, man. D-Rock says there's murmur right now that Ryans is going to Texas. You know what? I've got an absolute breaking update on that, and I'll get into that real quick. I promise. I'll get into that. I got it on my phone, and I'll read it verbatim. All right. Thanks, D-Rock, for giving me that. I guess it'd be a tip, but thanks for alerting me to that. I want to get right back to it. Okay. Okay. We're going to go to, okay. Ty Walden says there's a potential chance it could be someone outside the candidates that could get the job. That's what Albright is saying. Wow. Ty, I did not hear that from Albright. I did not know that. Thank you so much for that update. That's a little bit alarming. And the only reason why I say it's a little bit alarming is because who in heaven's name would that be? I mean, if we have not heard a name or candidate, does that mean it's college? Or does it mean it's a former head coach coming out of retirement? Mike Shanahan? Just saying. Could it be Mike Shanahan? Now that, Ellis is out of the picture and so John Elway, they can't nix it. Could it be a Mike Shanahan? Could it be a Clint Kubiak? I mean, Gary Kubiak. I don't think it would be Gary Kubiak because he's had some health issues, but who knows? Who knows? Could it be, what's his name? The one who coached the Rams to their Super Bowl. God, I can't think of his name. But anyways, could it be somebody like that that's retired, that comes out of retirement, that straightens out? Who better to straighten out Russell Wilson and let Russell Wilson be Russell Wilson than Mike Shanahan? Because Mike Shanahan allowed John Elway to do what John Elway did best. Throw deep, improvise, and make things happen. I know that's what improvise means, but guys, I'm just reiterating. What better person? Do I think it would be a Mike Shanahan? God, that would be interesting. Man, oh man, that would be interesting. I don't think so. I really don't. D-Rock says Vermeil. That actually, D-Rock said Fisher. D-Rock said Fisher, and Avatar said Dick Vermeil. That's who I was thinking of. I was thinking of Dick Vermeil. You're right, Avatar. Thank you so much. You're always on the ball, man. You must have your phone right there, and you just dial in and get whatever you want. It's great stuff. Yeah, Dick Vermeil is who I was thinking of. Would somebody like a Dick Vermeil come out of retirement to coach the Denver Broncos, or a Mike Shanahan, or a Gary Kubiak? I mean, how crazy is that? Would that, you talk about dropping an absolute bomb of a hiring? I mean, the media would be all over that. It would be crazy. It'd be awesome. It'd be totally awesome. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I really don't. I'm sorry, but I don't think it's going to happen. Anyway, back to my brother-in-law says, "Hey, Bill, you're awesome. Love the broadcast. Wins the barbecue." Hey, I don't know, man. You got to make it out to my house because that's where the barbecue's at. All right. This is a good thought. Bubba Gonzalez, you got a good thought. How are they going to coexist by means of Wilson and whoever the head coach is? That's interesting. How are they going to coexist? Well, it depends on who it is. If it's a coach like Hackett that wants to put Wilson in a little tiny box and make him do what the head coach wants him to do, it's not going to work. You have to let Wilson do what Wilson does. Just watch the last two games, guys. When Jerry Rosburg allowed his coordinators to do their job, what did you see with Russell Wilson? What I saw was 7 touchdowns in 2 games, and the Broncos could have beaten the Chiefs and should have beaten the Chiefs and turned around and beat the Chargers, putting up 31 points. That's what I'm talking about. Coexist is the only way it's going to work if you allow Wilson to be Wilson. I'm not saying Wilson needs to run the team. He's not the offensive coordinator. But he needs to be allowed to do what he does best. And if you don't allow Wilson to do what he does best, then the result is what we got in the first 6 games of the season. 2-4. Is that what we want for a new head coach? I don't. I absolutely do not. I'm sick and tired of going, year after year after year with losing seasons. I'm done with it. Totally done with it. All right, let me move on. bidding war looms. According to John McClain, the longtime Houston Chronicle writer, the Denver Broncos are intent on hiring 49ers defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans. He, McClain, also states the Texans fear they will lose a bidding war with the Broncos and their endless Walmart money. That's true. They could. But I have a more important update, and I need to bring that to you right after I finish this up. Mike Kliss of 9 News stated that Ryans is a front runner for the Broncos job. Ryans also was awarded Assistant Coach of the Year by Pro Football Writers of America. That is high honor and high praise, guys. When you get the top award for assistant coach or assistant coordinator of the entire NFL, you've done something right. You've done something correct. And you are on your way to being a possible head coach somewhere. Now, this is breaking news, guys. I'm reading it right off my phone right here. Breaking news. You ready? Here we go. DeMeco Ryans expected to have a second interview with the Texans. Okay, this is quite lengthy, but I'm going to run through it quite rather quickly. According to NFL Network's insiders Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero, the Houston Texans have scheduled a second interview with 49ers defensive coordinator DeMeco Ryans. They go on to say he has emerged as a top candidate for that job, and there is mutual interest there. And if all goes well, he could be the Houston Texans' next head coach. Oh boy. What just happened in what I read? I continue. Here it is. So all that positive news regarding Ryans and the Broncos in the past 24 to 48 hours is not looking good right now. We knew the Texans were the competition for the Broncos when it came to Ryans, but this report seems to indicate that they are the favorites for Ryans, they being Houston Texans, not Denver Broncos. So where does that leave the Broncos? Obviously, they still try for Ryans, but as of now, they still have not scheduled. As of now, they still have not scheduled any second interviews with their candidates. It's a list of candidates that is now dwindling as well. Dan Quinn went back to the Cowboys, as I mentioned. Sean Payton does not seem as likely as he did earlier, and that leaves Jim Caldwell, Ejiro Evero, David Shaw, and Raheem Morris as the remaining candidates. We shall see if the Broncos set up a second interview with Ryans. We had a Houston-based report earlier today saying the Broncos were intent on hiring Ryans, but this report seems to cast some huge doubt on that as of now. Oh my gosh, guys. That is not good. That is not good at all. So who does Denver fall on then? If we don't get a Sean Payton, which is pretty obvious because of the conflict between Greg Penner and Sean Payton, and now if DeMeco Ryans goes to Houston, where does that leave Denver? Jim Caldwell would probably be the best fit. Evero knows the team, but he'd be another first-time head coach. Well, so would DeMeco Ryans, but it's a different situation. Do we want Shaw? I don't. It's a college coach. It's totally different in the NFL. Raheem Morris? I guess. I'd rather have a Jim Caldwell. If we're reduced to those 4 guys, I hate to tell you, buddies. I hate to tell you, Broncos country, we're screwed. We are screwed again. Unless we get a Jim Caldwell. But then, who are we going to bring in as our coordinators? I don't know, guys. I don't know what direction. That last article I read you was released about 3 hours ago. That is huge. DeMeco Ryans has ties to the Houston, well, not necessarily Houston Texans, the Houston Oilers, or maybe the Texans it was, I'm not sure. But he played for Houston, and he has ties with them. Does that mean he wouldn't want to come to Denver? I don't know. I mean, money talks, and the Walton Penner organization or ownership group, they can definitely pay him what he wants. but it's where DeMeco Ryans, wants to go. Does he want to coach your Russell Wilson's only got maybe 4 or 5 years left in the tank at that? Or does he want to go to the Houston Texans where they have a young quarterback? He can develop. He can turn that franchise around. I don't know. It's up to DeMeco Ryans. At this point in time, guys, it doesn't look good. And I hate to bring that news to you. I didn't want to bring it, but it's out there. And I read it to you verbatim. And that's what bothers me, is that when news comes across like that, good, bad, or indifferent, I'm going to bring it to you. Like I told you, I'm bringing it to you honest. I'm not making stuff up. None whatsoever. Oh, man, that was a blow. I sure hope he doesn't go to Houston. I really hope he doesn't go to Houston, because that would be absolutely a dagger in a Broncos side for sure. Absolutely for sure. All right. Let's see. So Bubba Gonzalez says, hold on, Bill. Let me check NFL Network on anything. All right. Go ahead. What are we looking for? What are we looking for, Bubba? We're looking for, hopefully it's better news than I just gave you about DeMeco Ryans and a second interview, especially when the Broncos are not entertaining second interviews for any of these candidates. I don't know why. Why wouldn't you want to go over things you've already said, or they've already said, or maybe some questions that you didn't say during the first interview you want to get across the second interview? I don't know why. Why wouldn't you want to? What's the harm in a second interview? Unless you've got your mind made up and you're ready to just pull the trigger, which hasn't happened. So I don't know. Yeah, Bubba, that's what I thought you meant, was a head coaching search. Like I said, I hope it's different than what I just gave you about DeMeco Ryans. I hope it's better news for the Broncos. So if you have any information, please pass that along. I have my phone on complete silent, and so I won't be getting any updates whatsoever on my phone, so I won't know. Let's see. Ray Haas says, Houston, no expectations, no stress. Broncos have high expectations. That's a great point, Ray. You know what? I never thought of that. Absolutely did not think of that. But you're right. No pressure in Houston. What's the worst they can do? 0-17? Well, they dang near got that this year. What they would do? Win 2 games, 3 games, I think it was. 3? Did they win 3 or 4? Anyways, they either have the first or second pick in the draft. So you're right. No expectations, no stress if you go to Houston. In Denver, absolutely. High expectations. Does that scare somebody away like DeMeco Ryans? Possibly, especially if you're a first-year head coach. We've seen what happens to Broncos first-year head coaches in the last 4 of them, or last 3 of them. Vance Joseph, released. Vic Fangio, released. Nathaniel Hackett, released before they even ended the season. So, yeah, if you're a first-time head coach in Denver, chances are, if you don't have a winning season, make the playoffs, you're probably going to be axed. And, I mean, that's just the way it is. We do in Broncos country have high expectations. Ownership group does. Pat Bowlen did in all his years he was an owner, had high expectations. We all have high expectations because we are the Denver Bronco fans and we're Broncos country. And this is who we are. Of course, we got high expectations. Great point, Ray. Great point. I hope that does not scare away somebody like a DeMeco Ryans or any other coach like a Jim Caldwell. Maybe a first-time head coach wouldn't be so scared. I don't know. DeMeco Ryans just comes to me as a different type of cat, different type of person. That's all. I believe Bubba meant Fangio. Just announced Panthers are bringing in Fangio for offensive coordinator job. Vic Fangio for offense? Who would that be? Because Fangio's defensive. So I think either I'm not saying, or I'm not reading something right, or I know it's a misspelling, but let me know exactly what that is. But the Panthers just hired the head coach in Frank Reich, so they're already starting to build up their their team. That's for sure. I don't know if I like this, D-Rock. This situation screams Shaw as head coach. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. Again, it's a college coach, and I know it's from Stanford, and I know that there's high praise. I know that Condoleezza Rice is really pushing for him. She likes him because of Stanford stuff. That's college, guys. It's college. It's not the pros. And I know he's been in the NFL before, but that was then. We're talking about this is now. I don't want a college head coach. I don't. I want somebody who is seasoned. I'll take a Jim Caldwell at this point in time. I will. Why not? If we cannot get DeMeco Ryans, and that's looking more and more slim, unless something drastically changes in the next 24 to 48 hours, like it just did, you got to look at Jim Caldwell. I like Evero, but I'm not sure I want to go down that road as a first-time head coach again. And I know I mentioned DeMeco Ryans, but he just seems to be on a different level. He seems to be ready. He seems to be like the, what's his name was? O'Connell from Minnesota. He came in and turned the Vikings around the very first season. Just head coaches like that come in and do wonders right out of the gate. They're few and far between, guys. They're very, very few and far between. I like that, D-Rock. You're a USC fan and Stanford sucks. Well, there's another reason not to want Shaw. I mean, for that very reason right there. I know you said it's Vic Fangio. I'm surprised. Well, not surprised that Carolina will want Vic Fangio as a defensive coordinator. Why not? Fangio's a really good defensive coordinator. So there you go. All right. I move on. Jerry Rosburg. After the season ended, Rosburg was given a very lengthy interview for the next head coaching job. Rosburg isn't figured to get the job, but he could be a possible candidate for special teams coordinator. I would love to have Rosburg back as coordinator. Absolutely love to have Rosburg back as coordinator. Sorry, guys, got a fly on my laptop. I would love to have Rosburg back as special teams coordinator. He was phenomenal. He turned that entire special teams around. Even when we were missing, what's his name? It's on the tip of my tongue. Number 9. Dang it, can't remember. Anyways, Hinton. Even though we were missing Hinton, he still did a great job with special teams. So I would love to have a Rosburg back. I don't think that's going to happen. Not necessarily because of his age. He's in his early to mid 70s, I believe. I don't think it's due to his age. I just think that when you bring in a new head coach, they want to bring in all their own people. Well, that's well and good sometimes, not always, but sometimes. So it depends on who our head coach is. It depends on who he trusts in these different positions. So we'll have to see. I don't know. I would love to have Rosburg. I've mentioned it many times. I love Rosburg to be our next head coach. Not because, I think we could go 17-0, but because of what he did and how he handled the locker room. I know it was only 2 games, guys. I get that. I know it's a very, very microcosm of an entire season. I get that. But what those 2 games did for the Broncos in a way of point production, Russell Wilson production, offensive production, special teams production was a lot better. Head and shoulders, 100 times over better than Nathaniel Hackett. So I'd like to give Rosburg a chance. Do I think it'll happen on a scale of 1 to 10? No, not even close. Not even close. But you never know. I would like to keep him, though, as special teams coordinator for sure. All right. Speaking of Nathaniel Hackett is back as a coach. A head coach? No. Offensive coordinator. The New York Jets have hired Nathaniel Hackett as their offensive coordinator after less than a year away from the Denver Broncos head coaching spot. Hackett is back as their offensive coordinator. The Broncos will welcome, are you ready for this, guys? Talk about coincidental, just like when we got Russell Wilson, and it just so happened that we were scheduled to play the Seattle Seahawks in last year's season. Well, It's going to happen again. The Denver Broncos will welcome the Jets to Mile High Stadium this coming season. Will Hackett have, and this is a question I want you guys to answer if you would. Will Hackett have an edge as the Jets offensive coordinator going against the Broncos team he once head coached and Russell Wilson? Will Nathaniel Hackett have an edge and a leg up in going against the Denver Broncos as their offensive coordinator for the Jets? My opinion, possibly. But then you bring in a new head coach, you bring in a new offensive coordinator in the Denver Broncos, things change. But Nathaniel Hackett will know Russell Wilson's tendencies. And that's the problem. He could have an insight. He could say, hey, I got an idea, guys. This is what, when Russell Wilson's in this situation, he starts rolling out to his right, this is what he does. Or he rolls out to his left, this is what he does. Or if it looks like it's a design quarterback run, this is where his tendencies are. Sure, that could absolutely hurt the Broncos. But it's the Jets. Really? It's the New York Jets. We should be able to beat them. I don't care who the offensive coordinator is. We beat them last year. Or did we? Did we lose to the Jets? I know we played them. Anyway, doesn't matter. I don't think Nathaniel Hackett, being an offensive coordinator of the Jets, is going to have that big of an influence on how he goes about Russell Wilson, because he's an offensive coordinator. He's not the defensive coordinator. Now, if he was a defensive coordinator, I can understand. But he's an offensive coordinator. But then again, he knows the Broncos' defensive tendencies. So that could backfire against the Broncos. But it's the New York Jets, like I said earlier. It's the Jets. Now, I don't think for one moment that Nathaniel Hackett have that big impact against the Broncos. Jerry Wallace, hey, nice to see you. Thanks for joining the show. Peyton, he's coming to mark my word. Peyton who? As a Peyton, meaning Peyton Manning? Or are you talking about Sean Payton? Now, I don't know if Sean Payton's coming. We've already mentioned that he already has, if you didn't see the show earlier, go back and watch the beginning when I talked about Sean Payton. And there's a headbutt between Sean Payton and Greg Penner, the CEO of the Broncos. Greg Penner wants Sean Payton to report to him directly, or not Sean Payton, naming it, but any head coach reports to Greg Penner. So therefore, there's a conflict there because Sean Payton doesn't want to do that. So I don't think Sean Payton is really high on the ownership group to come to Denver, but I don't know. You said mark my words, so I'll tell you what, I'm going to mark your words. And if you're right, I'll definitely give a shout out to you next time we do the show after the official hiring of a next head coach. So there you go. What to say? Let's go to Ray Haas says, I stand somewhat corrected. Denver Broncos parted ways on Wednesday, former interim coach Jerry Rossberg, but according to a later report, that doesn't mean his time is up in Mile High City. That's what I was saying. He could come back as the special teams coordinator, which is what I would totally welcome. I would totally welcome that in an absolute microsecond. Absolutely. No doubt about it. But I never thought he would actually be the head coach, although I do want him just for the way he handled Russell Wilson and the last two games. Hopefully he will have a part in the Denver Broncos organization if that's what he wants. I know he has other business interests, and I know he's working on that with a business partner. So I wish slow down, Bill. So I wish him all the best. Absolutely wish him all the best. So that's good information. I'm glad that he still has a possibility. Ray Haas said that's by Ian Rappaport. Yeah, I mean, I got that the other day that they had parted ways, but that there is still possibility he could be back on the Denver Broncos. Let's see. Jerry Wallace says we need him for coach. I'm assuming you're talking about Sean Payton. I got mixed emotions. I have mixed emotions, and I've touched on this several times in my shows past. And one of my things is I don't trust Sean Payton. I don't trust Sean Payton one bit. I don't trust him because he had that bounty gate, and he was caught doing that. and I know maybe it wasn't directly him, but it was assistant coaches or whatever. He's still the head coach. He's still responsible. It's just like the president of a company is responsible for all the people underneath them. So that I don't trust. I also don't trust the fact that he wouldn't walk out on the Denver Bronco organization after, let's say, 2 losing seasons. He goes, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm not going through this again. See ya. Didn't he do that to New Orleans Saints? Yeah, he did. And that's what I don't like. I don't trust him. And now he wants full control of the Denver Broncos, doesn't want to report to Greg Panner. Come on, man. Really, is it all about you, Sean? Apparently it is, you narcissistic person. Of course it's all about you. That's how you're treating it. If it's best for the team and best for the organization, why wouldn't you do what's best? No, you want full control. You want this. You want that. You want everything. And it's not going to work that way. Not going to work that way in Denver. Not anymore. May have in the past with Mike Shanahan, with Pat Bowlen. It's not going to happen with this ownership group. Not at all. I agree, Ray. I want experience too. And that's why I say Jim Caldwell at this point. I know that everybody is high on DeMeco Ryans, and I understand that because he's a great character person. He has direction. He knows what he wants to do. The Denver Broncos even admitted in the interviews that he swept them off their feet. Didn't Nathaniel Hackett do that to George Payton? Didn't Nathaniel Hackett sweep George Payton off his feet? Yes, he did. DeMeco Ryans did the same thing in his interview. Does that mean we want to go down that road again? I don't know. I don't know where to go with this, guys. I really don't. Dan Quinn's out of the picture. It looks like Sean Payton's out of the picture. Frank Reich is out of the picture. Now we're basically down to DeMeco Ryans between Broncos and the Oilers, the Broncos and the Houston Texans. And you got Jim Caldwell. I mean, he's the only one that has NFL head coaching experience. Do we take a chance on him? Why not? If we're looking for NFL experience, why not Jim Caldwell? I don't know. I'm just saying, guys. I don't know at this time. I have no clue. I don't know what direction we're going to go. I'll take a Mike Shanahan any day at this point in time. You talking about experience? Oh, yeah. I'll take a Mike Shanahan right now. Absolutely. Okay, let's move on. Oh, boy. I got mixed emotions about whether or not I should make this person the jackass of the week. But you know what? As much as I hate doing this, I'm going to have to. It's a former Denver Bronco, Pro Football Hall of Famer, and a person who loves to talk a lot. Yep. Sorry, guys. Here is the jackass of the week. All right, guys. Like I said, I hate doing this because I really, really like this guy. Absolutely, totally love this guy. Shannon Sharpe. That's right. Pro Football Hall of Famer Shannon Sharpe sparked an altercation last Friday at the Memphis Grizzlies LA Lakers game in LA. Right before the half, video shows Shannon Sharpe yelling from courtside at Grizzlies T. Morant, saying that Morant was too small to guard LeBron James. Okay, Shannon, come on. I know you like to talk. That's obvious. We've seen videos of where you're on the sidelines years ago where you pick up the phone and you go, Mr. President, we need to call out the National Guard because we are killing the Patriots. That was funny. That was hilarious. This is not funny. Shannon, why are you calling out a basketball player saying he is too small to cover LeBron James? Why? Why are you doing this? And it was videotaped by somebody in the crowd or even, the cameras televising the game. I don't know, but I happened to see the video. And it's absolutely unlike you, Shannon. It's a disgrace. It's wrong. You are a sports celebrity. You have your own show in uninterrupted. You have a platform. You don't need to be at courtside and shoot your mouth off to a basketball player during the game. I don't understand where you're coming from. I don't. I continue. Let's see. It's not sure why Sharp started heckling Morant and Dylan Brooks. After the three of them were separated by players, coaches, and security, they made amends, and Morant told Bleacher Report's Chris Haynes, "We," meaning Sharp and myself, "are good." Quote, "are good. And I have nothing but love for him." End quote again. Then the two then made up during the third quarter. Shannon Sharp apologized the next day on his show, Uninterrupted, or Undisputed, I think, one of the two, to the fans, the league, to the Grizzlies, the Lakers, and their players. Okay. So you apologized. So you said you're sorry. Hey, it was my mistake. I should never do that. I know better than that. Well, of course you know better than that, Shannon. So why'd you do it? Why did you get into the altercation? Now, there was no fist thrown. There was no punching. There was no shoving. At one point, Shannon's like, come on, bring it. What are you thinking? Dude, this guy's like up to here, and you're down here. He's up here. What? I don't understand why you had to go down that road. Why you had to embarrass yourself. Now, okay, you apologized. You said you're sorry. You knew you were wrong. You don't know why you got out of hand. Whatever the issue was, you were wrong. You admitted it. You said you were sorry. Now let's move on. But the problem of it is, Shannon, is all of this is out there forever. Videos don't go away. They're out there. Somebody has video on everything somewhere. And when you make a mistake and you do something in the public eye at a televised basketball game, at courtside, yelling at a player on the court during the game, and then instigating an altercation at the end of the first half. Yeah, that was totally wrong, totally out of character. And as much as I love you, Shannon, as much as I think you're a great Broncos football player and a well-deserved Hall of Famer, this one stings a little bit to me because I never saw you being that type of person. I never saw you in this light. And I know I'll get past it and it'll be water under the bridge down the road, possibly. But right now, it stings. And this Bronco fan is disappointed in your actions, disappointed in how you conducted yourself, and disappointed in knowing that one of my favorite Bronco players would stoop that low. Yes, it was funny when you picked up the red phone and said, "We are killing the Patriots." When you get out the National Guard, Mr. President, get out the National Guard, we're killing the Patriots. That was funny. This wasn't. This wasn't funny one bit. And there's kids in the crowd. There's kids looking up to you, saying, "I want to be like Shannon Sharp. That guy's awesome." Now you just tarnished that. Shannon, I wish you the best going forward. And I'm dang super sorry that I had to put you as my jackass of the week. I never want to put Bronco players, former or present, on my list. But Shannon, when you do something like that, what else am I supposed to do? What else am I supposed to do? All right. Okay, let's go to D-Rock says, "I'm a huge Laker fan. I have to say it's not a good look." No, it's not. Absolutely was not a good look. And I really don't know why. I don't understand current players, former players, retired players, whatever. I don't understand why they feel like they can get away with stuff. I mean, I'm not trying to put words in Shannon Sharp's mouth or anybody else for that matter. I don't understand why there's physical abuse with players. why there's domestic violence, why is there's escalation of that, why is there fighting, why is there altercations, why is there arrests? I don't get it. I just absolutely don't understand. They have more money than I'll ever see in my life. They could hire people to drive them around. There's no reason for a DUI. There's no reason to get in altercations. Yeah, maybe they go out to a club or something and people recognize them and they want to rob them. I understand that. Well, then maybe get security around you. Maybe since you got all that money, hire a club. Rent out the club for the night. That way you bring in all your friends and people that you know. I don't know. I'm not in that situation, so I guess I can't really speak, nor do I ever expect to speak like them, because I don't have that kind of money, that kind of fame, that kind of fortune. I'm not. And maybe in a lot of ways, I'm glad I'm not in that case. D-Rock brought a good point. I thought of bringing that in. On my on my comments about Shannon Sharp, but I don't know. I wasn't going to go down that road because I don't know. I didn't see any evidence of that. D-Rock, in case you guys aren't reading it, says it was the alcohol. Like I said, I don't know. I'm not going to go down that road because I'm not sure. But I don't know. That wasn't disclosed, so I'm not even going to tap into that. Doesn't bother me a bit. I know I was a little shocked the first time I heard Bill wish minor injury on opposing team player, not to end his career, just his participation for the game. Yeah, well, that is true. No, I don't wish for anybody to have their career ended, injury wise or anything like that. It's just like if they're dominating the game and they're disrupting, the Broncos or the Avalanche chances to win, yeah, I want them out of the game. Just for the game. That's it. They can come back next week. No big deal. Or next game, if it's an Avalanche game, against the Avalanche, next game. That's how I feel. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap it up with this final topic. This one kind of took me by surprise just a little bit. All right. Fans don't support a new Bronco stadium. Really? Fans don't support a new Bronco stadium. Maybe it's because the owners might want some of that fan money in way of a bond, a new tax. I don't know. Let me read. The Denver Broncos ownership group sent out invitations to participate in a survey to season ticket holders and fans to get their support for a stadium overhaul or a state-of-the-art new one. Okay. Well, we already know they're doing a $100 million overhaul. They're putting in a larger scoreboard. It's going to be 35 feet taller than the one that's there now. Oh, sorry, guys. I bumped the table. Like I said, I'm not used to this setup. My arms fall asleep. Okay. So they're doing a $100 million upgrade to Mile High Stadium and Power Field this offseason. Like I said, 35-foot taller scoreboard, 45 feet wider. That's going to be enormous. It's going to be huge. And that's on the south stands, of course. They're also doing, elevator upgrades. They're doing concession upgrades. So the fans are like, okay, well, we'll do the survey. So here's the result of the survey. It says an analyst is expected to be completed by April. That's the overall total thing. But earlier in the week, an independent survey found that 25% of Bronco fans think it's time to replace Empower Field at Mile High instead of a new stadium. So only 25% of the fans want a new stadium. That to me is a little bit shocking. I thought for sure, because let's see, Mile High Stadium was built in 99 or 2000. So it's at least 23 years old. And not only is it, I mean, it's still considered one of the state of the art. I was there in 2017. My wife got me a surprise tour of Mile High. It was absolutely fabulous. It's about an hour and 45-minute tour. Just amazing. And you end up on the field in the end zone on the south stands area, and it was just spectacular. It was absolutely, anybody who has a chance to tour Mile High, do it. It is absolutely great. I mean, the suites are immaculate. The concourse that we were on was the United concourse, I believe it was, or United level. It was just spectacular. Do I think Mile High Stadium needs to be replaced? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It is gorgeous stadium. Absolutely gorgeous stadium from top to bottom. And with the money that the Walton Penner ownership group has, they can renovate that. They can make that stadium the state of the art and keep it for another 20 some odd years. Easily. Do I think the Broncos organization as a team, as a fan base, as a new ownership needs to build a new stadium? No, not at this point in time. Absolutely not. And I think it's twofold. One, I think if they did, it's going to be in excess of $5 billion. Is that a lot for the Walton Penner ownership group when they're $70 billion worth? Well, yeah, it's a hit. Absolutely, it's a hit. But it's not going to ruin them, and they can pay for it all themselves. Would they do that, though? Well, why not? They just bought the Broncos for $4.25 billion. What's another 75 or 750 million? That would make it $5 billion. You know what's going to be bigger and better and more elaborate than SoFi Stadium or even Allegiant Stadium in Vegas? It's going to be a lot more immaculate because it has been more years down the road, more technology, better technology, and all that. Do I think it'll happen in the next year or two? No, absolutely not. And I agree with what Ty Walden said. Ty Walden says, and I'll bring it up right now. Ty Walden says, I think location's the issue when it comes to a new stadium. Absolutely. Where are they going to put it? Are they going to tear down Mile High Stadium and build it right there? Well, that means the Broncos would have to play somewhere else because they're not going to have it done before the beginning of next season, even if they started the minute after the season ended. It wouldn't happen. You can't build it in 8 months. There's no freaking way. You have to tear down the old one. You have to redo all the land, packing the land, all of that. You got to do all of that infrastructure. Not going to happen. Takes at least 2 to 3 years to build a stadium. So that means somewhere else. Is it going to be right next to Ball Arena? Well, they have that amusement park there now. I guess it could be. But again, it's going to take years. You got to tear that down. You got to go through all the environmental issues. Yeah, location is a major a stumbling block. Absolutely. Would it be out by the airport? Possibly. But again, it's going to take research and development. It's going to take 2 to 3 years down the road. So my thing, and I totally agree with the Walton Penner ownership group, what they're doing. They're going to renovate Mile High Stadium and make it as state-of-the-art as they can up to now. And have that continue for the next 4 or 5 years. In the meantime, I feel the Broncos ownership group is going to look into land and property and development firms, architectural firms to get the best possible design for a new stadium. Maybe out by the airport, maybe halfway between downtown and the airport, maybe adding in some type of rail system along with it to get the fans to and from downtown into the stadium. I don't know. Maybe adjacent to Ball Arena. I don't know. But then you got to think about parking, and you got to think about parking structure and high rise and all of this. It all goes into development and research. That's why I say what they are doing now with renovating Mile High Stadium is the best possible thing they could do. Make it as state-of-the-art as they possibly can in the year 2023. Make it as welcoming as it possibly can be with a new head coach in place coming up shortly, hopefully, and all of his coaching staff and all of that. Then we can hit the 2023 Broncos NFL season, hitting the ground running with new things at Mile High, new attractions, new things that the fans can get engaged in, whether it be interacting with Wi-Fi or new televisions all around and concession stands and much larger scoreboard and having more information on that scoreboard, it's all in for the best. A stadium down the road, possibly. Yes, I see that within maybe the next 8 to 10 years. Absolutely. But for now, the Denver Broncos and the Broncos country needs to appreciate what the Walton Penner ownership group is doing to make Mile High Stadium the best it possibly can be entering the 2023 NFL season. That's it, guys. That's all I have. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Hit the like button. Hit the thumbs up. I really appreciate the notification so that you know when the next show is going, which will be a week from today at 5 p.m. again. And until then, guys, remember to know about the other shows. This coming Sunday, we're gonna the neighborhood, the NFL playoff neighborhood, gonna be back again with Madungus Creevy and myself. It looks like we're gonna do the Kansas City Chiefs Cincinnati Bengals game. That one's gonna be at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. Don't miss it. It's fun. We love engaging with you guys in the chat. You guys are the reason why we do this show. You are the main reason. You make it happen. You make it enjoyable. You make it engaging. And that's what I love. So tune into the neighborhood on Sunday if you have a chance. And then on Monday, we have the Cluster Puck podcast with Britt and Nick. They talk about Avalanche. And let's hope that we can get past that ugly loss that we had to the Anaheim Ducks last night. Anyways, so that is live every Monday, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then on Tuesday, we have the 5280 podcast. That's live every 5, 6, 7, and 8. And immediately following is the Sports Nonsense and Whiskey. That is a new show that debuted last Tuesday. They are on right after the 5280, somewhere around the 6 p.m. Pacific time. And then on Wednesday, we have the Wild Wild West featuring a fan from every AFC West team, Broncos, Raiders, Chargers, and Chiefs. That goes live every 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, and 7:30. And then on Friday, this show, once again, Broncos Breakdown, hosted by me, Bronco Bill, will be back at 5, 6, 7, and 8 live to comment, to interact with you guys in the chat, and just have a wonderful, great time with all of you guys. Thanks again, guys, for making this a great show. If it wasn't for you, it wouldn't be as good as it is. Thanks again, guys. We will talk to you next Friday. Till then, have a great, great weekend and a great sports championships. We will talk to you next Friday. Take care. Bye-bye.